Welcome back to True Rhymes, the place where we explore the nursery rhymes that I had as a child, the nursery rhymes that I read to my children, but I'm fairly sure the nursery rhymes that my granddaughter's not going to get to hear. Tonight we're going to have a look at a man who walked a crooked mile, who found a crooked sixpence by a crooked style, and I reckon you're going to find out where the hell that went. History's dotted with some crazy events that today we wouldn't have any clue as to what's going on, with swords and bloomin' cannons and bits and pieces flying all over the place. Tonight we're going to visit the 1600s in England, where poor old King Charles was trying to keep his shit together. He had a messy time, the poor lad. He wasn't really a king for much more than 20 years, but hell, at least he got a nursery rhyme written after him. And here we go. Do you want to know what it is? So you'll have to bear with me because I'm going to read it to you so I don't mess it up. It's not a very long nursery rhyme, but it's just the same. There was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence by a crooked style. He brought a crooked cat, which caught a crooked mouse. And they all lived together in a crooked little house. Now, I don't know, if nobody out there knows what a style is, let's just call it a horse stable. I mean, that's probably just an easy enough way to go about it. So in the middle of the 1600s, when poor old King Charles was trying to rule the bloomin' English Empire, he was supposedly the King of Ireland and the King of Scotland. Yeah, that's debatable. In amongst everything that went on in his little bloomin' tenure at the throne, I think he was only there about 20 odd years, he had a war with some bishops, which is pretty crazy. He had an uprising from the Irish who said they didn't want to be his subjects, so they had a bloomin' blue on. Then he had a civil war amongst themselves. I mean, golly gosh, this lad was having trouble. And then, of course, he had the Scottish folk who were up. They were up sort of in the highlands, up from England, if you know your atlas. And, of course, they weren't real keen on him being the king either, because old Charles, he was kind of a high Anglican, and the Scottish folk were, I guess, average Anglicans, whatever the hell that means. So they weren't very impressed with Charles. It always fascinates me when you read through history what the hell was going on. I mean, here they were technically both Christians. We had high Anglicans and low Anglicans, and they were warring about their right to their faith. But ultimately, when you look at history, it had nothing to do with actual faith. It all had to do with power and control of the bloomin' people. So don't let anybody tell you that there's not more involved behind the scenes when you read a nursery rhyme, because there always is. In our rhyme tonight, poor old King Charles, with all these wars going on, swirling about his head and about his kingdom, and he had crap going everywhere, he had to find some peace. So he went and found Alexander, who was one of the leaders of the Scottish Empire, and he said, let's make a deal, dude. And, of course, the people that were actually affected by this deal were not impressed. So they were the guys that wrote this story about them, and that's who the crooked men were. So it would be assuming that the crooked man was the leaders, and the crooked mile was the time that it took for the agreement to get organised. The crooked sixpence was the price paid by the poor old common folk like you and me. And the crooked style was where the deal was done. Fucked if I know what the crooked cat and the crooked mouse was about, but I'm tipping it was old Charles and Alexander themselves. I'm not sure who was the mouse and who was the cat, but anyway, that'll figure itself out. And the crooked house refers to them all living together, because obviously the little border between England and Scotland was a little bit bloomin' crooked. But hell, I don't think they lived together very happily, because they kept on fighting for the next while on. Now, just when you think you're safe, you come across another older version of this rhyme, which is just a little bit more messed up and gives the blooming hairs on the back of my neck start standing up. And I'm going to have to read that to you, because that's jolly a lot longer and a lot scarier. Whew. So this is from the ages of the iniquity. I don't know when. That's probably, it didn't even have a date, so this is predating the dating. So I don't know. Way back in history's time, forgotten. Here we go. The old version of the rhyme goes something like this, apparently. There was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile, and he found a crooked sixpence against a crooked style. He bought a crooked cat who caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a crooked little house. But the crooked man was sad, and once he had thought, why should I be crooked when others were not? Everything was worthless, and he heaved a great big sigh. And he went and found a rope and tied it to the sky. Upon a chair he stood, his eyes were black and dead. Without another thought, he went and hung his head. Now the story is not yet over, for this tale is mythed and old. Go hide under the covers, there's something not been told. There once was a crooked man who had a crooked smile, and if you lived his life, he'll send you through a trial. He lives for your torment and makes it full of strife, and he won't be content until he takes your life. Creepy is an understatement, I reckon. Man, that just gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. Apparently that rhyme was told in many a tongue across many a land, in many a places across the whole world. So there's a scary thought in itself. I don't know whether that was just meant to scare the crap out of everybody, but it scares the crap out of me. Apparently it said that the warlocks of old actually put that nursery rhyme, or that rhyme, in our nursery rhymes. And I'm fairly sure if they were warlocks, they didn't have our best interests at heart. Let me tell you that for free. Those boys don't play. They just play for keeps. They don't play for fun. They're not out. What's that game we used to play as kids? Playing Knuckles? That's a whole nother messed up thing, and that's a different show altogether, but still, doesn't matter. Our words have power to bring things into being. I mean, you talk to the blokes who do affirmations. Well, they believe that their words are going to create the future. You talk to the witches and they believe that their spells are going to create problems or blessings or cursings or whatever the hell they want to achieve. You talk to the Christians and the Muslims and the Buddhists and they call them prayers, but they're still words. So what we need to realise is that words have power, and so we need to understand that human beings have the power of words in their mouths for a good reason. So I believe there's a part in all of us that realise that our words have power. Perhaps that's the only reason why human beings are the ones that get to talk. Now don't forget that when you're talking to yourself, you want to be nice. My nan used to say, if you can't say anything nice, you shouldn't say anything at all. She was doing that in reference to when I was probably being a brat kid and teasing my brother or something stupid, but that wasn't totally what you could say, because quite often when you're alone in your own head having a conversation, just remember to give a bit charitable to yourself. Because you know what? Hell, you get to spend a lot of time alone in your own head if you're not careful. And that way, you'll be able to keep the crooked man where he belongs, out of your life, because you don't want him involved. You want to actually just move forward and just be nice to yourself and nice to others if you possibly can. Some people don't deserve to be nice to, but still, at least if you can be your own best friend when you're alone, because bloody hell, you get to spend a lot of time in your own head. So I don't know about you out there in the internet world, but for my money, I'd rather think that it was all about blood and gore and wars and people just dying rather than creepy-ass curses from our past, wherever the hell that comes from, I reckon. Now, that's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? That it'd actually be less creepy to be talking about a couple of blokes that stopped killing each other than it would be thinking about blooming, I don't know, dark forces from wherever the hell they come from. If you're enjoying the show, or even if you're just out of sympathy, don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with your friends. Tell everybody, what the hell, what do you got to lose?